September 1st may very well be right. Me, I'm willing to cheat by a few days. To me, the race has been going on for quite a while now, and it looks like it will continue for the rest of the season. So if you want to wait until this Tuesday, well, that's fine. But for me, tonight's game on August 28th could impact the race every bit as much as anything that happens on September 1st or thereafter.
What a beautiful August evening we have for you tonight. Fans coming across the Clemente Bridge and into PNC Park, where the Pirates are back and opening up a 3-game series with the Colorado Rockies. National League Central Division standings, Cardinals still in front, Pirates behind them by 4.5 games. The Cubs 8.5 off the pace. Hi again, everybody. Along with Steve Blass, I'm Tim Neverett. Robbie Makowski joins us shortly. Francisco Liriano is on the hill tonight. Had a great start his last time out against the Giants. Steve, the Pirates have won 10 straight that Liriano has started.
He's been remarkably consistent, Tim, and last time out he was good enough. Threw a lot of pitches, 105 pitches, 5 1/3 innings, but it was against the world champion San Francisco Giants. They're a little beat up, but still, when you beat the world champions, you're doing a good job. He has been terrific all year long.
Pirates giving him some run support as well, over 7 runs a game in that last 10-game stretch for Liriano. But Francisco will be challenged tonight by a couple of big bats for Colorado. Our Barrel Automotive League leaders stat: Nolan Arenado, Carlos Gonzalez, each with 30 home runs.
Yeah, and don't take this Colorado team for granted, because they've got these kind of thumpers. This is a very, very good hitting team. They're in second place in terms of National League team batting average, so they can score a bunch of runs, whether they're at Coors Field or whether they're on the road. So assume nothing against this ball club. You've got to be on your toes. Francisco's got to be really good tonight.
Rookie John Gray opposes them. The Rocks and the Pirates. On Friday Night Rocks, the Hawkeyes are live tonight in our Root Sports studios. Stand by. Lineups and first pitch coming up from PNC Park. for Friday night. It's here. These guys can't wait for Friday night. What do they come up with tonight for their pregame ritual? Whatever they've been doing, it's been working. What a night here on the North Shore. Kayaks out, boats, just absolutely wonderful on the 28th of August.
Yeah, the summer's hanging around nicely.
Big crowd expected to see the Buccos. Starling Marte taking the field. The rest of his teammates as we get set for game one of a 3-game series. Whether it's your 8th birthday or not, we hope you're sitting here watching the Buccos tonight. Jung Ho Kang getting ready to get out there, play third base. And in recent games, really hard to keep his bat out of the lineup.
He's been terrific. They've all been terrific. What a summer of baseball for the Pittsburgh Pirates and these fans. So many happy people heading over to the North Shore, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Rockies lineup. Jose Reyes leads off. DJ LeMahieu, the Nolan Arenado, Carlos Gonzalez, a 300-hitter career against the Pirates with 11 home runs. Nick Hundley, Matt McBride will play first. Kyle Parker in left, Brandon Barnes in center. John Gray, the pitcher. Lineup brought to you by Honda.
And we'll go right to the Hyundai numbers for Francisco Liriano. Start number 25. He has been remarkably consistent, as Tim mentioned in the open. Last 10 starts, he is 5-0, but the team, better number. They're 10-0. So, yeah, when Francisco throws the ball, the Pirates have had a very, very good chance of winning.
Defensively behind Francisco, sure-handed shortstop Jordy Mercer. Back in there tonight with Jung Ho at third base. That's the left side of the infield. Right side with Walker and Alvarez. Cervelli catching. In the outfield, the usual suspects, Marte, McCutchen, and Polanco.
You know, Tim, you were mentioning that Liriano has not lost since June 20th, I think, those 10 starts, but he's had support of an average of 7 runs a game, so there's always a flip side of the coin. He's 5-0 in those 10, but with that kind of support, you know, he probably could have been up the ladder a little bit more in terms of wins. So whatever the case, he's been doing a remarkably consistent job, and he'll have his work cut out for him against a very good hitting Colorado Rockies team.
First pitch of the ball game to Jose Reyes, the switch hitting infielder, takes a strike. Reyes came over from Toronto in the deal for Troy Tulowitzki. .258 the average for Reyes. He swings and misses. That's strike 2. Reyes has had a good average against the Pirates since 2008. .371 has been his average. Third highest of any active player. J.J. Hardy has the highest from the Orioles, and then Albert Pujols next at .373. 1-2. Ground ball to the first baseman, Alvarez, and there's one out.
Couldn't be easier. We're underway.
Well, how about that home run Pedro hit yesterday?
Oh, goodness. My goodness.
Man.
He is so strong. And, you know, we've said all along, when he hits the ball, the ball flies differently and sounds differently when he makes contact.
He can mash him, that's for sure.
And he's going to get a chance against a right-handed rookie later on.
Pretty good second baseman here for Colorado, DJ LeMahieu.
Important that we have a DJ on Friday Night Rocks,
isn't it? Well, no, not when they're live. They're live tonight.
That's right. That's right. Well, they'll have to record some stuff for
later.
Yeah.
So DJ LeMahieu went 0 for 4 in his last game against the Braves on Wednesday. Rockies had the day off in Pittsburgh yesterday. Pirates get back to Pittsburgh about 2:30 in the morning today.
Yeah, I was wondering where you've been all week. You know, I was just with you last weekend.
I know, weren't you? Just home for a laundry stop and then out for 3 more cities. And I'm sure by the time we get to St. Louis, you'll be wondering, boy, I haven't seen those guys around in about 4 days.
That's right. That's right. But, like everybody else in Pittsburgh, I will be glued to that series.
3-0. And LeMahieu takes ball 4. 4-pitch walk to LeMahieu.
There are more opportune times to issue a walk. You don't want to do it in front of these two thumpers. Rivers Casino tips to win. Assume nothing. We're talking about that. They did very well against Miami, a team struggling. This team is struggling mightily, last place in the West. So don't take them for granted, whatever. And no Rocky home runs, because I think the numbers are, they're 6 and 32 when they don't hit a home run. So keep them in the yard. Keep them in your playground, Francisco.
This might be one of the more underrated third basemen in baseball right here, Nolan Arenado. A lot of times when Todd Helton was having big years at first base, folks around baseball would say, well, he's the best player nobody's heard of because he's in the forgotten time zone. That's also known as the mountain time zone. But Arenado deserves some accolades also. 1 out, 1 on. That's fouled back for strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Way back in the day, I remember a very productive third baseman for the Rockies named Vinny Castilla, who had a year where he hit 43 home runs and 144 runs knocked in. I think Vinny still works in the organization as a consultant or an assistant.
And Arenado is the only other third baseman aside from Castilla to have a 30 home run season. Castilla did it 6 times. The last time was in 2004. 2 balls and a strike as Liriano works on Nolan Arenado. A year ago, hitting .300 with 14 homers. His average has gone down, but the home run production's gone way up. Count even 2-2.
Back in the days of Vinny Castilla, that was quite a 1-2 punch with he and Larry Walker, among others, the Blake Street Bombers.
The pre-humidor Rockies. They did not use a humidor to soften up the baseballs then. And they left that big ballpark with regularity. The 2-2. Outside, and it's 3-2. A full count to Arenado. Arenado and then Carlos Gonzalez. It's got to be nice for Walt Weiss to have 60 home runs in the middle of his lineup with his 3-4 hitters. Ground ball pounded back to the backstop. Still a full count on Arenado.
Walt Weiss, one of the solid guys who run across, one of the real decent people you run across in the game of baseball.
There's Carlos Gonzalez, the right fielder, on deck. Payoff pitch. Inside, ball 4, and Frankie's walked 2 here in the first inning.
We talked to Tim about his last start where he got the win, 5 1/3 innings. It was a struggling situation. He walked 3, and the previous 3 starts before that win against the Giants, a total of 19 innings, 12 earned runs. So it hasn't been squeaky clean. But again, that support you've been talking about has kind of blurred that a little bit. We need him to be a little bit sharper, hopefully, tonight against the Rockies. Seven runs a game of support will cover up a lot of blur.
It can. Yeah, the Pirates have put 10 up for Frankie in 2 of those 10 games. It's helped that run support average. And Francisco Cervelli asked to throw that ball out of the game. That doesn't have any strikes in it, apparently, so they want to get rid of it. Carlos Gonzalez, a .272 hitter, 2 on and 1 out. The Rockies this year have scored 90 runs in the first inning. Strike call. They lead the majors in first inning runs scored. They also lead the majors in first inning runs given up, which is well over 100. So they have had some interesting first innings this year.
Very much a candidate, strikeout candidate, that played 103 strikeouts.
1-1 to Gonzalez. And that one is cracked over to Mercer. He makes the grab. 2 men out.
They play him up the middle to pull, and he sliced it away for Jordy. Shattered the bat. Mr. Mercer was able to track it down, just flip it over to third in case anybody got frisky.
And that ball slicing away from him, as you see it on the Allegheny Health Network Super Bowl. So Jordy grabs that one off the bat of Gonzalez for out number 2. Arenado the runner at first base. LeMahieu is at second.
And some solid numbers for Nick Hundley. You will always see some solid numbers offensively from the Rockies. How many pitchers have gone to Colorado to die to pitch for the Rockies? A lot.
Runner takes off for third, and they're going to let him go. So going in standing is LeMahieu, but Arenado anchored himself at first base, and you got to wonder why he's still there.
Careless, perhaps.
Can't throw to 2 bases, so you see that from time to time. Base runner taking off from second to third, and the first baseman misses it.
Yep, the guy at first base not paying attention. Yeah, he's not paying attention. He's not looking at his teammate. He's probably looking in toward home plate.
Stolen base for LeMahieu, his 19th. First and third, 2 down for Hundley. And they said he didn't go, but I'm guessing he did.
I was getting ready to say after the 2 walks, you don't have to worry about the Rockies running too much. They don't have to, and then they go right ahead and steal a base.
179 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position is Hundley. This one's up in the air to right field, drifting. Polanco will have it. And the Rockies are scoreless. They'll leave 2, no hits. After a half inning, it's the Rockies nothing and the Pirates coming to bat. They're rooting for a Pirates win. These are many who are watching us tonight. Take a look at the Toyota lineup for the Pirates. Gregory Polanco back in the leadoff spot. Starling Marte, Andrew McCutcheon third. Jung Ho Kang batting cleanup. Walker back to fifth. Cervelli sixth. Alvarez seventh. Jordy Mercer hitting eighth in front of the pitcher, Francisco Liriano. The Pirates will face a prized pitching prospect for the Rockies, rookie John Gray, who will be on a pitch limit tonight, either 6 innings or 75 pitches, roughly 75.
Yep, 23-year-old, 6'4", 235 out of Chandler, Oklahoma. 2 years ago, he was the 3rd player taken overall in the free agent draft. He was drafted a couple times before that, but passed. The Rockies got him 2 years ago, number 3 pick in the country, making career start number 5. Got knocked around by the Mets last time out.
Gregory's hitting .266. Polanco for the first time, for everybody for the first time facing John Gray. Sometimes when you don't have familiarity with a pitcher, Steve, does the hitter get an advantage? Does the pitcher have a big advantage, at least for a little while?
Well, it's balanced off by the fact he's a rookie. He has not had much experience. I think it's kind of a wash. I'll give our hitters the the advantage here, although you're not taking number 3 in the country if you've got average stuff. So again, you must not assume.
See his line from his last outing, just an inning and 2/3, 8 hits, 7 earned runs. He was a little distracted that day, you could understand. As learned today that he got married the morning of that start at Coors Field and didn't tell anybody. Obviously he told his now wife, she was there, but people from the team didn't really know about it.
That is hard to believe.
And went out and got shelled by the Mets, and Yoenis Cespedes in particular.
So they had the wedding, but not the reception.
The reception wasn't very good, but getting married on the day you're starting.
Yeah. Well, we told you that pitchers are a different kind of breed.
You'd know.
Yep.
There's the 1-2. This one is hit foul over the third base dugout. One and 2 to Polanco.
Yep, rookie pitcher against a very hot bat. Mr. Polanco having a wonderful month of August.
Well, this month, in 23 games, hitting .343 with 3 homers, 9 runs batted in. Getting on base game after game.
Inviting look at the scoreboard there.
Pitch on the outside corner, called a strike. Gregory didn't agree with Chris Guccione. He goes down looking. So Gray with a strikeout to start to his night. That was outside.
Trying to stay away from Polanco power, and he did the entire at bat.
Gregory had a point.
I thought Francisco might go out and argue that call.
Gray getting set to face Starling Marte.
Very compact delivery by this young man, 23 years old, delivering
the
fastball.
That was the same pitch that got Polanco right there. Guccione called it a ball. He's behind the plate. Corey Blazer at first. Crew chief is Jeff Nelson. He's at second, and Laz Diaz, the umpire, at third. Marte hits one in the air to left center. Kyle Parker, the left fielder, will give way to the center fielder, Brandon Barnes, and there are 2 down. Rockies defensively behind the rookie John Gray tonight. Nolan Arenado, third baseman. And Reyes, shortstop. LeMahieu at second. Matt McBride is the first baseman. Nick Hundley behind the plate. Parker, Barnes, and Gonzalez in right. Justin Morneau, who they had hoped to have at first base, has been out for a couple of months. He's had neck and concussion-like issues. And there was a time when he wasn't doing anything in rehab. They took him completely away from baseball activities. Now, we learned today that he's going to be rehabbing in Double-A in New Britain until the 3rd of September, and they expect to get him back. There we go. Yes, he's rung up on strike by Corey Blazer, and it's 0-2 to McCutchen.
86-mile-an-hour slider delivered after the 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
So no balls, 2 strikes. McCutchen takes it inside. Kutch has not hit a home run against the Rockies since the 2012 season.
Well, he's made up for it against other people.
301, another 20 home run season for him. That's 5 of those.
We get early indications about the live arm of John Gray, 95 miles an hour or thereabouts with a fastball, and a side-to-side breaking ball. So far, we're seeing.
Gray steps back, and the 1-2. That's up the middle, solidly struck single by McCutchen.
And not too far away from the body of John Gray. That's how close it came. If that hits him in the arm or shoulder the way it's hit, they're very concerned about their bonus bases. And rightfully so. It's fortunate right there. That would have done some damage. So Andrew has climbed up over the 300 mark and off to a good start again tonight.
2 outs, the batter Jung Ho Kang. Jung Ho hitting right-handers well, also hitting well at home. That's why Clint Hurdle didn't play him as much in Miami, facing 3 left-handers. And his average against lefties and on the road lower than against right-handers and at home. So
contradictory numbers.
Yeah, it
makes sense.
A little backwards, but thinking that that could be a good recipe tonight to have him in the cleanup spot
against a right-hander.
Gray's pitch. There goes Kutch. Thrown out by Hundley, bounces, and McCutchen is in with a stolen base. His 7th steal of the season.
Well, I wish they'd waited one more pitch because I was going to bring up the possibility against a rookie of testing his move and dealing with base stealers. And so far, so good for the Pirates. Yeah, you are surprised if you don't just give him a test early just to see how he handles it.
It's the 150th career stolen base for Andrew McCutchen. And in scoring position with 2 outs and the 2-0 coming. Jung Ho takes it low, 3-0.
Yeah, you can see a tremendous jump. So I would be surprised should Mr. Gray stick around for a while if the Pirates would take off again.
Jung Ho swings and knocks this one toward right field. That one is slicing toward the line. It is a foul ball. Just too much slice on it. It landed barely foul. It's a long run for Gonzalez.
That close to a 1-0 Pirate lead.
Back to second for McCutchen. That was one of the better jumps we've seen him have this year, trying to swipe a bag.
Yep.
And he really took off early on Gray. He's been caught stealing 4 times, but successful tonight. Ball off again. Now the count 3-2. Jung Ho hitting .306 with runners on base. What a surprise he's been this year. Pleasant surprise. Really no one knew what to expect from him at the beginning of spring training, but he's been as advertised and then some.
Yep.
Payoff pitch from Gray. And this one looped into right field. McCutchen on the run. That drops in for a hit. And we're around third. He'll score. Jung Ho drives him in. It's 1-0 Pittsburgh.
Welcome back home, Buccos. Just a little flare, little tweener pop up. A little too far for the second baseman. A little too short for the right fielder. A little bit on the hands. That took some of the distance off it. Pirates come home after a good series in Miami and get on the board right away.
Jung Ho with his 47th run batted in.
You think he might take a decent lead and continue to test the rookie? Doesn't look like it with the lead.
Throw to first base, and Jung Ho skips back to the base.
They're aware of it. It is tough when you first get to the big leagues. As a rookie pitcher, you got to think about big league lineups. You got to think about big league base stealers. A lot going on.
Neil Walker fouls the first pitch back to the backstop.
Love this shot down the right field line.
It's probably what Walker saw.
Well, And the whole Pirate bench looking in that direction.
He'll have to go out and be the extra base coach, which you have to do with a runner in scoring position.
Andrew flying around. Comfortable trip.
I value the stolen base, too. Stolen base pays off. Stretch by Gray in the pitch. And Walker fouls it back. Neal hitting .265, 13 home runs. He's driven in 54. His 54th came last night in the second inning when he drove in Francisco Cervelli with a sacrifice fly. That got the Pirates on the board. 0-2 to Walker. He swings and strikes out. But the Pirates do get one on 2 hits, and they leave a man. And after a full inning, it's the Buccos 1, the Rockies nothing.
Pittsburgh are the Pirates and their pregame dances. It seems every night there's a different routine. There's a different cast of band members with the word band in quotes. They use gum buckets. They use baseball bats. They use parts of the bench. They use sunflower seeds. They use anything. They've done it all over the place. This is just a sampling of what has taken place in the past couple months. Jay Hay doing the limbo. And then we had a dance tonight with Jay Hay, Starling Marte, and Andrew McCutchen being part of it. Josh Harrison talked about where the whole thing began.
I can't even say who started it. It's almost like a big band because you got guys shaking gum buckets, guys hitting the bench. So it's just something that caught on. Some guys would do it, and then it turned into like a nightly performance for us.
We'll show you tonight's dance in just a second, Tim, but it's been pretty unique, and it just shows how much fun these guys have playing together and the amount of fun they can have and how loose they are. This is just seconds before the first pitch of the ball game is thrown.
It's interesting, that's for sure. Strike to Matt McBride. Now here is tonight's. They're using anything they can to make noise. Banging the bat against the bench or whatever. That's sort of reminiscent to what Steve and I were doing before the game. We just didn't tell anybody.
Yeah, you're certainly right. We didn't tell anybody.
A 1-0 Pirate lead as we play here in the top of the second inning. Matt McBride, a 1-2 pitch to him. And the Rockies' first baseman fouls it off. Now, show me that move you did again, Steve. Can you do that move again?
The move was, all right, Liriano 9-6, 3.23, making start number 25.
Yeah, you wrote it. That was your dance move, right? That was your scorecard?
That's as good as it gets from me. My moves left a long time ago. Had a decent move to first base. I'm talking about the junior prom.
1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Number 1 for Francisco. Number 160 on the year. And if you can get him to chase that location, he'll be around a long time tonight.
You talk to hitters around the league, Steve, and they say that they have a lot of trouble picking up the changeup, especially, and the slider too sometimes, just because Frankie offers some deception and the ball comes out of the same spot every time. Kyle Parker swings and misses, left fielder with a 1-1 count.
No, not so much the slider, but the changeup. If you can keep that as close to the arm motion on the fastball, then you're ahead of the game. And he's most successful, as most pitchers are, downstairs. He gets a lot of chases, breaking balls downstairs, as you just saw.
And when it's on, he can roll.
So he's starting that breaking ball right around the knees or just a little bit above, and as it breaks down, they're assuming it's going to be a little higher than it is. Swing over top of it.
There's strikeout number 2 this inning and in the ball game. Two men out.
Here we go. Look at the downward motion of that. I mean, it's the late movement downstairs. And it's hard to adjust your swing when the pitch is halfway to home plate and your swing is a third completed. I mean, there just ain't much time to adjust.
Brandon Barnes, the center fielder, takes a strike.
And all of a sudden you see, after a couple walks issued in the first inning, he looks very, very nice here in the second. Very nice.
Oh, and 2 to Barnes. Mariano has struck out McBride. He has struck out Parker. And he's 0-2 to Barnes.
Yeah. He's in control, certainly, of this at bat.
In the air to center field. Andrew McCutcheon opens up the back pocket. And a nice tidy 1-2-3. Top of the second.
Ball on Root Sports is brought to you by Toyota. Toyota helps you get the most out of your drive. Just ask a friend who drives one. Toyota, let's go places. And by Barrel Automotive, we're driven to be better. Let's go Bucks.
1-0 Pirates, bottom of the second inning. UPMC scoreboard. Great scene on the Allegheny. The waterfowl around the watercraft. Here's Francisco Cervelli to lead off against John Gray in the Pirates half of the second. Takes a strike.
Now, Tim, you're talking about the pitch count for John Gray. 22 thrown in the first inning. A lot more than he would have liked. But a couple of strikeouts. His control has been good in the first 4+ outings. 3 in the game, 4 starts, just 5 walks.
And when he does start, the bullpen knows they're going to get some work because it's been widely noted that he is not going to go past the 6th inning. Francisco hits a line drive to right center. And Brandon Barnes there to corral it. 1 out. 1 down for the Bucks in the second inning. We want to see your strongest fan photo. Use the hashtag #PittDataStrongFan. And you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile.
You're talking about the pitch count and the duration as we look at the almost full moon scheduled to be full tomorrow night. Pretty sight coming up over the city of Pittsburgh. Good night for looking at the moon. Howling at the moon. Friday night, you can go out and howl at the moon all night long.
Yeah. Pedro might hit one there.
They could.
Alvarez hit his 21st last night in Miami. Hit it there last night. It would have been a moon over Miami.
And you might see it going around 10 o'clock every night. Might be in orbit. Hope it doesn't bump into one that I served up to William McCovey that you see around quarter of 10
that's still,
every night.
That's still orbiting, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
0-1 pitch. Yeah, that's a swinging strike, 0-2. The home run that he hit last night was off of left-hander Justin Nicolino. It was an 0-2 pitch. 3rd time he'd hit a home run off a lefty this year. I think folks need to understand his numbers against left-handed pitchers this year, the best he's had in his career. He's hitting over 300 against lefties, but he strikes out here against Gray. Gray with 3 strikeouts in the game so far.
You're talking about Mr. Gray with a pitch count or an innings count, and it kind of clears everything up, Tim. You develop kids to pitch 6 innings in the minor leagues. What are they going to do in the big leagues? They're going to pitch 6 innings.
Right. Well, what they want to do is it's an innings thing for him. That he's young. They want to save his arm. They're in last place. They know they're not going anywhere. But what about this for an idea? How about having him pitch deep into ball games and then have him just sit out his last 3 starts if they're concerned about the innings? You know, I mean, if you have to go that route, why not go that way?
I have no answers to any of those questions. I don't know.
1-0 pitch. And Mercer hits this one down to 3rd. Arenado's got it. Sets his feet. Guns it to 1st. And a closer play than he probably would have thought it would be. Mercer running hard. 1-2-3 go the Bucks in the second. To the top of the 3rd. It's the Pirates 1 and the Rockies 0.
Mariners have fired general manager Jack Zaremczyk after 7 seasons. Assistant GM Jeff Kingston will take over on an interim basis. A Newcastle native and former Pirates farm director, Zaremczyk left Milwaukee's front office in 2009 to take over GM duties at the Mariners prior to the 2009 season. But since that season, Seattle has the 5th worst winning percentage in all of baseball. The Mariners had just 2 winning seasons during Zaremczyk's tenure. Let's head back to Tim and Steve at PNC Park.
Thank you, Rob, for that State Farm game break. Here it is 1-0 Pirates. As we enter the 3rd inning, the pitcher, John Gray, will lead off against Francisco Liriano. He is 0 for 3 on the season.
And he didn't see this kind of stuff at the University of Oklahoma. Where he went to school. Oklahoma or Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma. Sooners.
Well, sooner or later he was going to have to face this kind of pitcher.
Swing and a miss there, 1-2. He did attend Eastern Oklahoma State before transferring to Oklahoma. So you were partially right. You had the Oklahoma State part right, just the directional school, Eastern Oklahoma State. That's what they call a compass college. A good direction. 2-2 to Gray. Point Park University tweet. Steve, does Liriano's heavy swing and miss ratio remind you of any pitchers from your playing days?
Heavy swing and miss ratio? Yeah, it reminded me of mine. Oh, you're talking about him hitting?
No, the guy's swinging and missing against his pitches.
Yeah, Mr. Koufax, Mr. Nolan Ryan, Mr. Gibson, Mr. Carlton, Mr. Seaver. I thought you were talking about Francisco's hitting. Oh. After that home run, you know, all the rules were off.
Well, he's tied you for home runs in a career now.
Yeah. Let's see if he hits 250 one year.
Jose Reyes, second time up. Reyes grounded out to Alvarez in the 1st inning. .255 hitters, Reyes. Batting right-handed against Liriano.
You know, if we remember that last start against the Giants for Francisco, he did struggle a little bit to find a groove. I mean, he got through his 5 1/3 innings, but he was laboring, he was working hard, and a little bit of that kind of start here in the 1st inning. But now he looks much better, more comfortable. And Ray Searage has always said that he likes him to get off to a good start, because if he doesn't, he gets ahead of himself. He gets a little quick in his motion, body a little bit out in front of the arm, and that's when he really has some difficulties. But staying back now, he seems to have settled in after that 1st inning so far. Probably the same here.
Second baseman Neil Walker throws out Reyes, 2 gone. 2 men out. Coming up Sunday, it's another Kids Day here at PNC Park. Pirates will wrap up this series and this quick homestand with the Rockies. 1:35 start time. All kids 14 and under get a pitching grip baseball. And compliments of Chevron. For tickets, go to pirates.com.
We'll remind every young player not to rush throwing his curveball, but when he does, find a grip that works. There's no really standard grip for a curveball. People fish around and play with it and experiment with it. Older young men, not the youngsters. We don't want you fooling around with a curve too early. But it's kind of one of those variables. A lot of the other pitchers have particular grips. Curveball is a lot of variables.
2-0 to LeMahieu, who walked his first time up. You know, you do see that, though. Young kids, they're get on the hill for the first time. They want to throw curveballs because they see these guys doing it on TV.
Right. You know what?
And got to wait.
And it makes the batters look really bad as opposed to the fastball. Fastball just gets them out. The curveball makes them look bad.
To LeMahieu for whatever reason. Tonight, Liriano is not throwing him a strike. Until now. 3-1. Well, you're not going to ask for a better night to be sitting out here at this ballpark.
Perfect.
This is just gorgeous.
No humidity, beautiful sky, full moon looking at you. I mean, Major League Baseball, come on down. There's still time.
And it's also really nice too, Steve, after 4 nights in the hermetically sealed dome in Miami, to come out here today and just see wide open skies, to see bright blue skies this afternoon, get to the ballpark, and just the beauty that is PNC Park.
And this time of year, you're going late August into a great weather month, pennant races, a lot of good stuff. That ballpark in Miami, it's a massive thing, but not many people in there.
2 fouled off. Well, they have the rain so often in the summer that they have. I mean, they need something to stop that because of the old ballpark. Tons of rain delays, a lot of rainouts. The weather was pretty muggy to sit out there and watch a game. Now it's climate controlled, but certainly nothing like this here. To right center, that one's going to get to the wall. LeMahieu around first, and he will be in with a 2-out double. Took the 3-2 pitch to the right center field alley.
Well, that's what you expect from a .311 hitter when he gets something he can like. Check out the location right there. Kind of inside outs the ball a little bit, pushes it to the opposite field, slicing away from Andrew. The ball never had a chance of being caught. Takes advantage of a sweet pitch to hit. That's why you hit .311. You don't miss those kind of pitches. You're hitting .220, foul that ball off, pop it up.
Arenado going deep toward left center, but McCutchen will take care of business. No runs, a hit, a man left through 2.5. Pirates 1, Rockies nothing. A look at our Allegheny Health Network injury update. Rockies, a couple of former Buccos on the DL. Michael McHenry went on the DL about 10 days ago with a tear in the meniscus in his right knee that required season-ending surgery. Justin Morneau been out since May after suffering a concussion. He's been hitting and taking ground balls for about a week, and he's going to rehab assignment tonight for the New Britain Rockcats in Double-A, and is expected to return on September 3rd. Francisco Liriano, his first at-bat tonight, facing John Gray. He'll step out and take a strike. Pirates are 77-49, 28 games over 500. The last time, Steve, there were 28 games over 500 before September was 1972.
Oh, I remember that.
You were there.
Yeah. That was one fine baseball team. Defending world champions. We mentioned that earlier about the Giants.
Reyes with the catch. Oriana trying to go the other way. So he lines out, and there's one gone for the Pirates in third.
Take a look at this line drive, and while you're doing that, we'll have a moment to say hello to Brad and Ed Hobaugh. They're the girls golf coach out at Armstrong High School. Eddie Hobaugh, a good friend of mine, one of the good guys you'll ever meet. Jim Rummel, Mike Caminos, principals out at Armstrong High School. That's a jointure of the old Ford City and Katanning High School. About 2 or 3 miles away from Skunk Hollow up in that Katanning area.
Really?
Yeah, had a pleasant day with all those folks while you were away.
So that's what you do when we're gone.
I did. Went to see some friends.
Top of the order, Gregory Polanco. Strike one to him. He struck out looking in the first inning.
Eddie Hobaugh pitched for the old Washington Senators, and he spent some time in the Pirate organization. We crossed paths and been good friends ever since. Ed Hobaugh.
0-1 pitch. Fouled off. And count 0-2 to Polanco. Point Park tweet. It's from the Hawkeyes. They're in the control room at Root Sports. All these buttons. Which ones to push? That's where the magic happens.
Oh, yeah.
We'll hear some live music happening here very soon.
Yeah. Right from the studio, right down the street, right into your living room.
Gregory held up his swing. Laz Diaz, third base umpire on the appeal.
Close. Staying alive.
He's alive again on a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. John Gray has given up 11 earned runs. Make it 12, actually. 12 earned runs now in his major league career. They've all come in the first and second innings of ball games. I think he's going to be a really good one. Inside, it's 2-2.
As we said, a rough time against the Mets last time out.
Gray made his big league debut on the 4th of this month in an interleague game at Coors Field against the Seattle Mariners. Pitched 4 innings in his debut. Ground ball toward the hole. That's through for a base hit.
And the only reason that ball is through is because it was hit so hard. It doesn't have that kind of contact. The shortstop will have time to get to it. That ball was hit very solidly. Now they will watch Polanco. We will watch Polanco because Andrew was successful comfortably in his steal attempt. See if Polanco takes off.
Gregory now has reached base safely in 40 of his last 45 games. Marte flied to center field in the first. 1 out, 1 on. Pirates up 1-0 in the bottom half of the third inning. Tons of room on the right side of the infield, with McBride holding on Polanco and the second baseman LeMahieu shading the bag at second. Huge hole over there. See what Gregory does at first base.
Modest lead.
Throw to first, he just falls back.
Not a bad move by the big man. This young man, 23 years old, 6'4", 235. It's not easy to be quick when you're that big. But that was a decent quickness over to first base.
Gregory's off the bag a little more this time. And Marte fouls it off down the third base side. 0-1 to Starling.
And you wonder if the Mets saw something in John Gray the second time they faced him. The first time was his second major league start. 6 innings, just 1 run given up. A good job against the Mets, but then they saw him, as you said, last time out, and the Mets were all over him. So you wonder if they saw something in their video or their approach that was brand new to them the first time when he was effective, and they used it against him 2 starts later and beat him up.
0-1. Marte shows bunt and takes the ball. 1-1.
If Starling puts the ball down right there, he's got a base hit, because Arenado is nowhere close. They're almost saying, okay, yeah, we'll give you a bunt base hit because we know you can hit it over the fence. Just a couple hit over the fence off John Gray in his first 4 starts.
Throw to first, and diving back is Polanco.
A little closer that time.
It looked like he had a little bigger lead, too. Just a little bigger lead, and managed to get his right hand back.
That's a decent move. That'll give you a pause, even though Andrew was successful, knowing that he can be a little quicker than you might think. Bigger lead.
There he goes. The pitch out, and Polanco is safe anyway.
Another good jump.
Second base umpire Jeff Nelson, the crew chief, checking on Polanco. Steal number 22. Rockies might take a look at this one.
You can't tell where the foot is on that shot.
Rockies won't take much more of a look. Polanco puts that foot in there, and he beats the pitch out.
Well, the Rockies are thinking off, but even if you pitch out, if the guy has a big enough jump, it's not going to happen at second base for you defensively.
Runner in scoring position, 1 out. 2 ball, 1 strike pitch to Marte. In the air to left. Parker underneath it. There are 2 gone.
Well, let's see if we can do it again with 2 outs, as the Pirates did in the first, with a base hit, a stolen base, and another hit.
Andrew 1 for 1, trying to get Polanco home. Andrew, in the offseason, one of the things that the Pirates wanted him to do was hit a little better with runners in scoring position. That was one of the goals they set for him. And well, here we are at the end of August, and he's leading the league still in batting average with runners in scoring position. Hitting .394, almost .400 with runners in scoring position. That's where Polanco is at second. 2 men out. And the first pitch to Kutch. This time the Rockies have him played a little differently, where DJ LeMahieu more toward the base. If Kutch were to hit that same baseball, LeMahieu would be right there to play it.
And we mustn't let you get the wrong impression that if you ask somebody in spring training, we need more of you in this particular aspect, that you can do it. It's not that easy. It's easier said than done, but he has responded. If that indeed was the goal, he's good in a lot of different categories. Very good in this one.
1 ball, 1 strike now to McCutchen.
That looked like a late decision to make a swing at a pitch he didn't expect. You see it's not the fastball. Okay, it's a breaking ball. Maybe I should go. And then by the time you do all that thinking, it becomes an awkward swing.
One taken low. 2 balls and a strike. Andrew McCutchen continues to drive in runs, 3rd in the National League. He's got himself back in the MVP discussion. You realize, Steve, he's got 1 more run batted in right now than he had during his MVP season of 2013. There's still a month to go in the season. 2012, his career high, 96 runs batted in.
Well, he's been a remarkably consistent baseball player. Remarkably consistent.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Three and 2 to Kutch. See the way the RBIs were a year ago at 71 compared to 85. Home runs even. Averaged not too far off. Was hitting 307 a year ago today. So pretty consistent. I mean, you talk about that word consistency when it comes to him. Look at his numbers. 2011, 12, 13, 14, and this year, real similar. He's on board after being walked. Well, right now, the MVP for the National League, who would it be? Bryce Harper, still obviously a leading contender, 31 home runs, but not as many RBI. Paul Goldschmidt, he was leading in 2 of the Triple Crown categories, or at least an RBIs. He was an average. He's now trailing D. Gordon of the Marlins. Anthony Rizzo back in the discussion, 25 home runs. But McCutchen, Steve, I think with a really good September, if he has a good September, helps lead the Pirates back to the playoffs and even a division title perhaps. That still is within reach. I think he would have to end up being a favorite.
Well, he's a very familiar name to the voters for sure.
He has finished in the top 3 in MVP voting 3 straight years. This year he could finish in the top 3 again, maybe win it.
Well, you know, psychological. If you're a voter, that name comes into your mind. Every year he has these kind of production numbers.
1-0 pitch to Jung Ho.
And by the way, he's a Rookie of the Year candidate.
Yeah. Looking for a couple of more RBIs in a 1-0 ball game. He drove in the first run, got McCutchen home in the first inning with a base hit.
You always wrestle, I would think, as a voter, value to a winning ball club and what you do, or just total offensive numbers. If it's total offensive numbers, you're looking at Paul Goldschmidt right now. Very impressive work that he's doing. We're going to talk it over, and again, while we have a moment, happy 5th year anniversary to Mike and Lisa Welsh. Mike is a member of our Root Sports gang. Dad works over here at PNC Park. And also Chuck Dillon of Altoona, happy 88th birthday. And he and his wife celebrated their 66th wedding anniversary Wednesday. So catching up with some of the news while you're gone. People with milestones. Congratulations. Anniversary and birthday wishes. And now a 2-run triple would be in order.
2-0 pitch to Jung Ho while we have a moment.
Yeah.
And a base hit.
I'll take that.
Polanco is going to come around. McCutchen heading for third. Jung Ho to second. And he is going to be safe with a run-scoring double. It is 2-0 Pirates.
Well, we have a moment. The Pirates take the lead. Almost got that second run in. McCutchen stopping at third base. And really, Gonzalez made a good job of catching this ball. This ball might still be rolling if we are able to get a shot at some point of him going over to cut the ball off. That's a good job right there. You can see out in the distance in right center field. And save the Rockies another run. Good work. Here again, the 2-out offense. Love it.
2 men in scoring position for Neil Walker, who will come up. Steve Foster, the pitching coach for the Rockies, out to pay Gray a visit. Neil struck out swinging in the first inning, so he's looking for contact right now to try to get 2 men in.
You can break this thing open right here. Not that you put the finishing touches on it, but you can really do some damage with a base hit here. They aren't moving around yet in the Colorado bullpen. They aren't throwing yet, but they are stretching. They're not too far away from getting somebody up and throwing.
Should be the 53rd pitch for Gray. Inside ball 1 to Walker. Gray facing Walker. 2 outs. Bottom of the 3rd inning.
Thanks for my favorite shot there. This fine Friday night crowd out of the shadows and into the evening.
McCutchen at third. Jung Ho Gung at second base. A 1-0 pitch to Walker. And That is low. 2-0. Neal had to hit primarily right-handed yesterday in the game against the Marlins. Ended up with a run-scoring sacrifice fly, 0 for 3 otherwise. Two-0 pitch to Walker. And that is inside 3-0. Speaking of Walker, I had a chance to visit with I know a guy you're familiar with, and a lot of folks in Pittsburgh are. Neal's brother-in-law, Don Kelly, who for a number of years have been with the Tigers. He's with the Marlins now. He's recovering from elbow surgery. And they're going to just put him on here. But Donnie's doing quite well. Donnie makes his home in Mars. He and Neal's sister live there. And they are looking forward to next season, really.
Yep, I heard you mention his name last night. Good, one of the good guys, Donnie Kelly.
I wish him luck in his recovery. So Francisco Cervelli with the bases full of bucks.
Trying to give us all a little amore. Courtesy of Dean Martin.
Francisco ejected from last night's ball game in the third inning, the bottom of the third. So this inning that we're in now is where he was last night, and he was behind the plate. There had been some questionable balls and strikes called by the home plate umpire last night, Alan Porter, and he turned around and talked to Porter on one pitch that Garrett Cole threw that he thought should have been called a strike and wasn't, and he was run immediately.
I wonder if he was talking in Spanish. Neil Walker thought that might have been a balk there. That's great. He was moving around the mound. You think he addressed Alan Porter in Spanish? Alan Porter in Spanish last night?
Well, whatever language, it was not in a friendly tone. First pitch to Cervelli. Fouls it back. Francisco flied out to center field in the second inning for the first out of the second. Now a two-out bases loaded chance against John Gray. Time is gone.
You know, I can't help but looking very closely at a young pitcher, rookie pitcher in a situation like this, getting ready to throw a pitch in a tough situation, the bases loaded, whether he'll balk or not. Because I mean, you're nervous. You haven't been in this scenario often. You got to keep your body intact, among other things.
Francisco took a 95-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle.
So, not all that rare to see a pitcher surrounded by the enemy. Give a little twitch and that'll cost you another run.
McCutchen trying to get into his line of sight at third base. That's up high. 1-2. That ever distract you and you're working with the bases loaded? And again, Gray is not out of a full wind, kind of a side windup that he uses. It's not a real stretch.
But yeah, batters will try to jump around, get your attention, make you jump or twitch or make a move.
McCutchen breaking for the plate, and Cervelli swings and strikes out, and the Pirates leave him loaded.
He might have distracted Andrew.
Let's go back to our Root Sports studios. The Hawkeyes are live right now. The Rockies heading to the top of the 4th inning. If you're playing fantasy baseball, MLB.TV serves up real-time highlights and pitch tracking info on your out-of-market fantasy players live or on demand on over 400 devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Get MLB.TV today. Lots of kids here tonight, probably finishing up their first week of school.
Yeah, it's Friday. They can sleep in tomorrow.
That's right. Another great crowd here at PNC Park. Expecting good crowds this weekend. Hope you're going to be among the folks who come out and see the Buccos.
Yeah, if you want to see them for a while, you better get out this weekend because they're going on an extended road trip after Sunday. So come on out.
Right fielder Carlos Gonzalez swings and fouls the pitch back. There's the 0-1 on the way. And a bouncer towards second. Charging is Walker. 1 out. And Gonzalez is 0 for 2.
Get on the other side of that big bat. It's a good thing.
Well, 1 gone in the Rockies' 4th. Liriano started out almost, I guess you'd say, a little shaky after the first 3 batters. He walked 2 of them. They came back to get Gonzalez to line out to Mercer, then get Hundley to fly out. Hundley's up for the 2nd time now.
Just one base runner since then.
And 3 strikeouts. Pitch to the catcher, Nick Hundley. Strike 1. Polanco tracked this one down, or a couple of feet on the warning track. 2nd time Hundley's flied out to Polanco, and there are 2 gone for the Rockies in the 4th inning. Well, it's good to be home, you know, and we're going to be saying that again after this next road trip, which is a long trip. Milwaukee, St. Louis, Cincinnati. Leaving for that one Monday.
Tidy work so far in the 4th for Francisco. A couple of outs on 4 pitches.
That's the way you like it. He struck out McBride in the 2nd inning.
Well, even though you got home late last night, still nice to be in tidy time zones where you're not flying for 5 or 6 hours, 4 or 5 hours, and then find yourself somewhere in some hotel in the middle of the night. So these hour and a half, hour flights, that'll be good.
A roller to the side of the mound. This could be a tricky play. Liriano's going to do it himself. How about that?
Very tidy work.
1 unassisted. As Liriano gets to the ball and then beats him to the bag. Another 1-2-3 inning. history. This date 2012. Pedro Alvarez hit 2 monster home runs against the Cardinals. The first off Jake Westbrook in the third, 422 feet. Then on the 6th, hit that one 469 feet to the Riverwalk in center field. And at the time, it was the longest home run by a Pirate at this ballpark. Well, he passed that earlier this year with a 471-foot blast that landed in a boat on the Allegheny River. Boom. His home run last night, 443 feet, came off the bat 111 miles an hour to dead center at Marlins Park. Pedro struck out first time up. And he looks at a strike here. John Gray. It's Liriano tonight. Liriano, another 1, 2, 3 inning. He's had 2 of those in his 4 innings he's pitched. And Gray with an unusual windup. He used that with the bases loaded. Kind of a side windup where he'll be off to the side of the mound. Looks like the stretch, but now he steps back. And this is with the bases loaded. This is what he'd say. He moved his hands. His hands keep moving, and he appeared to be set. Now he steps back and delivers.
Well, it's almost like he went to a stretch, then to his conventional windup. I wonder if that was what Neil Walker was hollering about at first base. But not a lot of protests from the Pirate bench. So, on we go. He probably won't have to be concerned about that aspect of his pitching much longer with that pitch count you're talking about.
65 pitches right here. He strikes out Alvarez for the second time. So Pedro having a tough time with John Gray.
5th strikeout. Chasing high heat like dogs chasing cars.
The Rockies want to do what they can to continue his development and to protect him in a way, because this is a franchise that has not done well at all in terms of drafting and developing starting pitchers. Strike 1 to Jordy. Think of a couple of guys they've had who've done pretty well that have been drafted and have come through their system. Think of Jeff Francis, a lefty, Aaron Cook, a right-handed sinker baller guy. They really have not done well. You'd think with their records they would have had some good drafts, good first rounders.
Yeah.
They're going to have another high first round pick again this year because they will finish near the bottom of the standings. Pitchers go to Colorado, and even though they use the softened up baseballs, the ERAs still get inflated there.
Is it Kevin Ritz had a couple good years and wound up signing a very attractive contract with the Rockies.
At one time, when they were selling out over 80,000 a game at the old Mile High Stadium, I mean, they were just printing money. And then they moved into Coors Field. They thought that would continue. They've actually taken seats out of Coors Field, which is about 30,000 fewer than Mile High was. Base hit to right by Mercer. Brody with a 1-out single. That would give Francisco a chance to move him over.
Down and away. Just throw the bat at it. It's out of the strike zone. Pitcher throws a good pitch. And sometimes you get this result. Nice job of hitting by Jordy to get out there and make solid contact. Very much a pitcher's pitch. Good at bat. Very frustrating for a pitcher.
It's a big ballpark there. Liriano lined out to Reyes in the third. Gets the bat around, puts it down, and that'll be a foul ball. Liriano with a career high 7 runs batted in. He has a home run and a double. Before this year, he had never had an extra base hit of any kind.
Breakout season.
It was his dream as a kid to be a position player. Wanted to be an outfielder. Wanted to be a hitter. Took him a while, but he finally got his first home run. That was against the Dodgers here. Mercer heading for second, throws there, plenty of time to get him. Not sure that I understand that with Liriano trying to sacrifice. Why would Mercer be stealing?
Yeah, now no bunt now, and not a big lead, and he's looking in. Somebody miss a sign?
If you're thinking hit and run, no, not with Liriano at the plate.
Just kept looking in to see if who's going to. Probably looking in to see, please get the bunt down. I'm in trouble here.
So that'll be a question that'll get answered later. So what happened on that particular play? 1-2. Outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Two men out. Pirates half of the 4th. Game 1 of a 3-game series against the Rockies. Funny how the schedule works. It takes until August 28th before these two teams can meet. They've not met once this year.
That is pretty bizarre this late in the season.
Braves 2-2. We're headed to the 5th. 6th strikeout for Gray. And the Pirates with a 2-0 lead.
He looks like Jim Carrey, and in honor of Jim Carrey last year, he and his son Maverick dressed as Dumb and Dumber. Lloyd Christmas and Harry Dunn. Of course, Jordy was Lloyd, and his son played Harry in the outfits they wore. Fantastic effort by him. So much so that his Double-A team, the Altoona Curve, decided to pay tribute to him by giving away a bobblehead tonight with his likeness, but it is the Lloyd Christmas likeness of Dumb and Dumber in the outfit that he wore for Halloween last season. Tim and Steve, that is fantastic. The first 1,500 fans head to the ballpark tonight. Get one of these bobbleheads in Altoona. Great stuff. Creative stuff by the Altoona Curve with this Jordy Mercer bobblehead doll.
That is pretty slick.
That is funny. I always think of what's the soup of the day? Soup du jour? Yeah, that sounds delicious. I'll have that.
Yeah.
Well, Jordy and Francisco That combination there resulted in an out on the base paths. Jordy taking off for second base on a sacrifice bunt situation, which you just don't see. So I'm sure there's an answer to be told after the ball game about that. Top of the fifth inning now, and Liriano will face Kyle Parker, Brandon Barnes, and John Gray, 7, 8, 9 in the Colorado batting order. Rockies just having a real difficult year, 51 and 74. Last place in the National League West, 18.5 games behind the Dodgers. There's a strike.
Four zeros put up by Francisco. Pirates up 2-0. Go to the fifth inning. And quite efficient with his pitch count since the 2 walks in the first inning. Last time out 5 1/3. 5 1/3. 7 hits, 3 walks. A lot of base runners against the Giants. But was able to get the W. Fifth career start against the Rockies, 1-2. I think we mentioned that.
3-1 to Kyle Parker.
You know who pitched one of the real fine games at Coors Field was Chris Peters as a visiting pitcher. Complete game win for the Pirates.
Chris Peters now the Pirates' left-handed batting practice pitcher.
Yeah, I remember that game. Tough to go 9. Any starter in that yard.
3-2 to Parker. He struck out swinging in the second inning. Liriano's got his sign from Cervelli. Payoff pitch. Walked it. Third walk given up by Liriano. The leadoff man is aboard for Colorado. Robbie mentioned Altoona Curve and the bobblehead. How about their second baseman Max Moroff into the AA All-Star team? 144 hits this year. 199 total bases. Real nice season for Moroff. He hopes to get a promotion to the Pirates system at some point. Had a real good year in AA. Nothing Pirates. Top of the fifth, nobody out, 1 on. Batter is Barnes. He'll try to push a bunt, but ends up taking it for a ball.
But Tim, you saw a lot of baseball at Mile High Stadium. It's got to be a managerial nightmare because those games are so crazy. I mean, you can have a 7-run lead and you're not really truly confident about it. There's so much offense, so much hitting. It's just they have wild baseball games. They're tough to work your bullpen and how long to lead pitchers in.
I remember one time at Coors Field talking to some of the sports writers who were in from San Francisco. The Giants were in, and they're all complaining, saying there ought to be a rule in baseball. You ought to be able to get at least 1, maybe 2 extra relief pitchers to add to your roster when you go to Colorado, because when you leave there, your bullpen is fouled up for a week. You have to use so many pitchers at times.
Yeah. Hard to imagine you'd change the rules for a ballpark.
No, you're not going to do that. But that's why they do have a humidor there. I imagine they probably put a few cigars in it.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Keep the baseballs. And he gets away from Cervelli, and down to second base goes Parker, so forced play is off.
You're not wanting to have this kind of action down at the bottom of the batting order. That ball hit on home plate. It doesn't accelerate the skip, but it makes it appear to be quicker. Kind of reading that body language, doesn't look like Clint Hurdle is really happy about what's happening here in the top of the fifth of the batting order. The Rockies way down toward the bottom. So with that in mind, what you like to see is a strikeout here.
Or more gum.
A lot more gum.
Store it up. 2-2 to Barnes. Inside move to second base, and Parker gets back. Center field, going back, McCutcheon will make the grab. Parker tags, he heads for third base. And now with one out, the Rockies have a man at third.
Very standard but alert base running by Parker to go right back on that line drive. Give himself 90 feet.
Well, in the situation now, you face John Gray, the pitcher, where they plan on having go at least one more inning.
So what you do is blow him away on 3 pitches. Nice script. I don't know if you can always follow it, but he's not a strikeout candidate. There is not one.
Pirates will bring the infield in. And Gray takes a strike. He went down swinging in the third. Looking down at Stu Cole, the third base coach. Parker off of third base, one man out, the 0-1. Swung in, and that is strike 2. So there's the first 2. Good block by Cervelli.
Turns the glove around, protects that path between the shin guards, and just keep the ball out in front. Doesn't have to be pretty. Now, the only risk here is to throw in a breaking ball downstairs and have it get away. Other than that, you're in really good shape. Finish him off.
Strike 3. It does get away, but up the third baseline. Gray's going to give himself up. He didn't know what to do here. Throw down to first. Alvarez will tag it and complete the strikeout. He didn't know whether to go back to the dugout, down the first baseline. Turns into an out anyway, and Parker stays put at third.
Good breaking ball down on the dirt. That was the risk, and they get away with it. And, when in doubt, Mr. Gray, run to first base. You can always shut it down and come back. Finally gets going. A big second out.
2 gone for Jose Reyes. Reyes is 0 for 2. He's grounded out twice. Infield can play him back, although Gong is even with the bag at third. First pitch outside to Reyes.
Be hard to really calculate how many catchers are blocking balls that hit in the dirt in front of them this year compared to last year. There's more. Hook.
On the left field line, and this ball will be off the pole for a 2-run home run for Jose Reyes.
And you heard it. You heard it hit.
And this game is tied, as that is perhaps the lowest home run you'll ever see hit of this ballpark, and at the bottom of the foul pole. And Reyes with just his 3rd home run with the Rockies.
He pulled it up there in that hitting zone. That was a perfect pitch to hit. He got just the right direction. And there's the sound effects. Here it comes. There it is. Indisputable evidence.
Oh, and that leadoff walk now really hurts.
And there's another high fastball delivered.
2 outs. DJ LeMahieu the batter, and Reyes can smile about that one. He had 4 home runs with the Blue Jays, and now 3 with the Rockies, so 7 total this year. So 0-2 to LeMahieu.
Ironically, right in the same neighborhood that Liriano hit his home run.
Yeah. Well, he walks Parker, and that's the big part of the inning. You can give up a solo home run, but now the lead is gone. But the walk, then the wild pitch put him in scoring position, and that got him in position to tag from second and go to third on the fly out by Barnes to center. So LeMahieu out on strikes, but the big blow off the foul pole by Jose Reyes, and it's a 2-2 ball game.
Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the Chevy Traverse and your Western PA Chevy dealers. And by Day Automotive. We're going to make your day. Let's go, Bucks.
Bottom of the fifth, 2-2, Rockies and Pirates. A home run by Reyes that hit the foul pole on the left field line with Kyle Parker aboard. Now we're all even at 2 heading to the bottom of the fifth.
A little bit like the look of last night's game where you thought you were going to have an opportunity to really knock a pitcher around. Wound up being a very tight ball game, a 2-1 Pirate win. And this one is beginning to look like work.
Gray right around his pitch total. I think they'd like to get him through this inning. The Rockies bullpen is starting to work.
76 pitches. Yeah.
Polanco bunts this one foul.
Now you take a look at John Gray as the bullpen works. His first 4 outings, we told you he got knocked around by the Mets, but the first 3 were pretty decent. So, as you said, there's a lot to like about a first-round pick goes number 3 in the country. Walt Weiss watching his young right-hander work.
Walt's going to have to go to the pen here. Polanco rips it down the right field line. That's a fair ball. Takes a big bounce out to Gonzalez. Polanco's going to try it anyway. He slides. He is safe. He got in there head first with a double. Boy, can he fly.
And he ripped that ball. And actually, Gonzalez got the perfect opportunity to throw to second base because it came off the short fence right out to Gonzalez, and he makes a good throw. I thought this was pretty risky business. He took off with that speed. It's incredible. And they thought they had him.
So the tag went late. The left hand of Polanco gets to the bag before the tag.
And the tag is once again on the upper body. From the infielder standpoint, he's just trying to get some kind of contact. And the hand is in, and he tags him up above. And that's going to stand.
The Rockies will not challenge this. They had the infield come in and kind of gather around the pitcher's mound while Walt Weiss made everybody wait. But it'll be double number 27 for Gregory Polanco. He's now 2 for 3.
It's hard for the infielder that close to play to know. He's got to concentrate on catching the ball and then just go for some part of the body, and looked like Gregory had that left hand in on the base in plenty of time.
The Pirates hope to regain the lead now that the leadoff man is in scoring position.
They had a chance to open it up in the bottom of the third, and Cervelli struck out with the bases loaded, so back to work again here in the fifth.
Marte fouls it off, and again the leash getting shorter on John Gray. When the bullpen comes in, since Gray's last start on the 21st, they've been pretty good. They actually haven't allowed any home runs, only allowed 3 earned runs in 19 innings. But when Gray got knocked around and had to leave after an inning and 2/3, the bullpen gave up 7 earned runs in 7 innings and allowed 4 home runs against the Mets. There have been times where they have been very, very shaky this year. Marte bunts, foul, strike 2. Kind of like that, where you could bring in the third baseman with a runner at second and then try to beat that out for a base hit.
Yeah, worst case scenario, you get your guy over to third base with nobody, one out. And chances are you can beat it out. You're going to have to do a lot of things correctly. Arenado not even thinking about it, of course, now with 2 strikes, so he's back in his position.
Marte hitting .291 with runners in scoring position this season. He is 0 for 2 last night after he went 0 for 4 last night. One ball, 2 strikes to Marte. 2 teams the Pirates are watching. Look at this pitch first. It's wow, right there. Marte got a call. 2 teams the Pirates are keeping an eye on: the Cubs The Giants both out west. The Cubs and the Cardinals, rather, both out west. Cardinals playing the Giants, Cubs in LA tonight. For St. Louis, they're going to be without their closer, Trevor Rosenthal, for the series against the Giants, away for family reasons. Giants just won 2 straight against the Cubs, sent them down the coast to LA. The Dodgers can stay hot, because after those 2 series, the Dodgers and Giants meet. 2.5 games separate those 2.
There you have it.
But now, since the All-Star break, the Cardinals, Cubs, and Pirates, 3 best teams in baseball right there since the break. Unfortunately, they're all in the same division. I mean, the Pirates would be leading the East or the West comfortably. They'd be leading the Dodgers by 7 games, the Mets by, I think, 6.5, if they were over there. But that's the way it's aligned. 2-2 coming to Marte. He wants time. Did he get it? I didn't see Guccione make any kind of emphatic timeout call, did you?
I did not see it. No. I was looking at him.
So Starling asks for time before the pitch. And
yeah, kind of a yield sign.
2-2 coming.
You know, it's interesting when you talk about wins and losses and divisional matchups. I still think, you know, we lose track of the fact it doesn't matter who you beat. It's the number of wins. It's the total number of wins. So you don't have to beat your division opponents up. Win enough games, doesn't matter who they're against. It's the total number of wins.
Goes to the backstop, and down to third goes Polanco.
Thought I heard that hit off the catcher's glove. I don't know if it hit the ground first, whether it be a pass ball or wild pitch.
Hits the glove, but it is ruled a wild pitch.
Okay. We'll take it either way.
So this will now bring the Rockies infield in. 2-2 ball game, bottom of the 5th. Polanco at third, nobody out.
So far there have been 84 shades of gray. This is pitch number 85 coming up.
And here comes the payoff pitch. To left field, that'll get Polanco in.
Easily.
And the Pirates will be back in front, 3-2. Sacrifice fly by Starling Marte, his 63rd RBI.
He wanted inside, right on the corner. That's some pretty good hitting as Marte got the hands in, able to get it far enough to left field.
McCutchen singled and walked. He's stolen a base, scored a run. One out for Kutch, and the first pitch to him is outside ball 1. Gray's pitch. Ball 2.
I would suspect that if he doesn't get Andrew here, it might be over. And it is just a 3-2 ball game.
Ball for strike 1 to McCutchen.
Broken bat.
New stick. Kutch has multi-hit games in 4 of his last 5 of his last 7. He has 39 multi-hit games this year. He's looking for his 40th tonight after a single in the first. Ball to the left side. Reyes backhanding, throwing, and McCutchen is safe. That'll be a base hit. 40th multi-hit game for McCutchen.
Not much of a chance. Reyes had to go deep in the hole for a ball that was not absolutely crushed, so he had to go that far, throw off the grass. That's really no contest. These hitters have that instinct. When they have got to turn a little extra on, that gear is there for that infield hit.
And this hit by Andrew McCutchen will chase John Gray. Gray will be out of the ball game. He's reached his limit tonight. Rockies don't want him to go any further. In fact, they've let him go 89 pitches. Walt Weiss comes to get him. Taking advantage of his chance to play every day, and all of baseball has taken notice. Richie Hebner fills us in on his career in baseball after his retirement, and there's much more on Inside Pirates Baseball, presented by Allegheny Health Network tonight after postgame on Root Sports. Make sure to check out Inside Pirates Baseball. Well, Buck fever, sometimes that can be a good reason to get out of school.
Oh, yeah.
The Bucko fever.
Yeah.
Seen cases of that.
Well,
last 2 Octobers, there's some severe cases of it.
Well, they're starting to use flu-like symptoms, too. You can only use it after the 5th grade.
So the new pitcher facing Jung Ho will be Christian Bergman. Bergman takes over for John Gray. Jung Ho takes a strike.
Bergman came up last year as a rookie and made 10 starts. Working out of the bullpen now, his numbers currently.
Jung Ho has driven in 2 of the 3 Pirate runs tonight. Nothing in 2, 1 out. McCutchen is at first. Kutch stole a base back in the first inning. And this pitch is up high. Bergman has allowed runs in 12 of his 21 relief appearances. He's worked multiple innings, 2 or more, in his 15 relief stints, so expecting to get some length out of him here tonight. 1-2, bounce to the third base. Arenado goes to second for 1. LeMahieu back to first. That's a double play. And that ends the inning. And that takes us back to our Root Sports studios, live with the Hawkeyes. Pirates with a 3-2 lead after 5. to the top of the 6th inning. Working out of the Clemente wall. Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Gregory Polanco scoring 2 of the 3 Pirate runs, coming in on the sacrifice fly by Marte after his double.
Good stuff from the Hawkeyes. You know, I always thought I could be a rock and roll singer. Every ball player thinks they can be a rock and roll singer. Every rock and roll singer would love to play an inning of Major League Baseball.
Funny how that works.
Yep. And both should stay with their day jobs, probably.
But there is a good marriage between music and baseball.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big part of the game, whether it's walk-up music, batting practice music, organ music at some of the older parks. Even here.
I always thought I could be Jerry Rafferty.
You wanted to be Jerry Rafferty?
Yeah. Winding your way down to Baker Street. Light in your head and dead on your feet. He made a great album. Well, there's a lot of great music. Yeah. Back to baseball.
Yeah, look at that.
Swing. Go ahead and swing at those.
That's Arenado to go down to a knee. Here's the 2-1. Count is even. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Nolan Arenado. Liriano in his 6th inning of work.
Now you talk about jumping around like the guys do in the dugout before the game. How about Jethro Tull? Did you ever see him perform? Ian Anderson.
Ian Anderson.
Yeah.
And the ball wide at third.
Leaping around with that flute on the stage.
Yeah, I don't know how much more that dugout dancing is going to evolve from where it is now, but it's kind of fun to watch. Guys like it. 2-2. Down the right field side. That'll twist into the seats. Bounce on the ramp. No play there for Gregory.
Glenn Riddle watching his starter out there give up that kind of unexpected home run to Jose Reyes. This will be pitch number 83 delivered by Francisco as he works here in the top of the 6th inning, nursing a 1-run lead.
Jumping out of the way. That's a full count.
Francisco has walked 3. This game looking more and more like what we saw last night. Hard work against a struggling team.
Walker climbs the ladder.
Don't you think that Pikey doesn't appreciate that?
Walker takes one away from Nolan Arenado. 1 out for the Rockies in the 6th.
The Pirates very athletic second baseman Neil Walker goes up, comes down with the baseball. A pretty looking look by Allegheny Health Network Supermo. Good stuff. Fun stuff to watch.
He can't believe it. So that was a base hit last time. Not this time. And this ball's crushed. Carlos Gonzalez with home run number 31, and the ball game is tied at 3. One of the more prolific home run hitters in the game right now, Carlos Gonzalez, since the All-Star break, has hit 18 of his 31.
That ball was hammered. Big part of the ballpark, well up in the seating area in right center field. And again, elevated. He gets it upstairs and he just flat out turns it back around. And Francisco has missed a good bit upstairs with a lot of his pitches tonight. Has gotten away with a lot of them. Not that one.
Hundley, strike 1. You thought a lefty like Gonzalez might be challenged with the slider of Liriano tonight, but that ball he let fly a long way. One strike.
3 hits, 2 of them have left the yard.
Well, Rockies can hit. There's no question. They are a good hitting team. It's been the starters in the bullpen that have really given them challenges this year.
Telephone call And the phone rings.
Now the Pirates are going to get somebody up. Tie game here in the 6th. Three and one to the catcher Hundley. He's flying out to right twice. And this one is a little bit further than a fly out. It's off the top of the wall. Polanco gunning it to second base. They might have Hundley at first. And they got him.
Go from a possible home run to a 9-4-3 out. What an emotional roller coaster there. This ball looked like it had a chance to get out. And then you're thinking maybe you're going to have to give up a double. And maybe you're thinking he's going to get back to first base. And he's out, and he knows it. That close.
This is the 29th outfield assist by the Pirates this season. They are one of the leaders in Major League Baseball. Last check, they were tied with the Dodgers at 28 each.
I might have said Walker. I think that was Jordy Mercer who delivered that ball back to first base. Two great throws to the cutoff man and then accurate throw to first base so the tag can be made.
Mercer with a solid throw to Pedro.
Well done. 9-6-3.
1-0 to McBride. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, there are people around baseball learning more and more. You don't want to run on Gregory Polanco. The throw he made in Miami to get a runner at third, a Denny Echeverria, was amazing. Echeverria trying to stretch a double to a triple. And Polanco threw it right into the glove of Aramis Ramirez, who was just there waiting to tag the man out. Marte, another guy with a bunch of outfield assists this year. He had a throw out of a man at third base also in that series. Pedro Alvarez under this one in foul ground. 1 run on the home run by Carlos Gonzalez. A 3-3 game heading to the Pirates' half of the 6th.
Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Allegheny Health Network. Health for all. By Kenny Ross. Just ask a neighbor. And by Levin's, the official furniture and mattress supplier of the Pittsburgh Pirates. For the best quality, service, and value, shop Levin's. Let's go Bucks!
What a great moon tonight over the city of Pittsburgh. Pirates could use a couple of moon shots right now after Carlos Gonzalez home run tied it up in the top of the inning. Neil Walker will lead off the bottom of the 6th. followed by Francisco Cervelli and Pedro Alvarez.
We were talking during the earlier part of the game about the number when the Rockies do not hit a home run. A miserable record, but they're on the board with a couple tonight, and they're very much in the ball game. Very much in the ball game.
Walker hits this one in the air to center field. First pitch swinging. Brandon Barnes will catch it. 1 pitch and 1 out in the Pirates' half of the 6th.
Mr. Bergman, who came into the ball game to get the last 2 outs, squeaky clean, double play and a pop-up.
Over the last 4 seasons, the Pirates have lost just twice at home against the Rockies. In fact, there are 2 teams really that have not done, 3 teams that really haven't done very well in the last 4 seasons here. The Marlins are 1-11 at PNC Park. The Rockies are 2-7. The Phillies are 3-9. Strike called to Cervelli. One. That's outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. I mentioned the outfield assist, Steve. Tied with the Dodgers. They were tied. The Dodgers haven't had an outfield assist in a couple of days, so now the Pirates do lead the National League in outfield assists with 29 after Polanco's throw in to get Hundley.
And you continue to see the physical skills of Pirate outfielders. The youngsters on the corner, remarkable physical skills, still rounding out some of the subtleties to see what they're capable of doing.
One, 2 up high, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Outfield assist, National League leaders: Pirates, Dodgers, Cubs. Marte leads with 12, and Cervelli with a 1-out base hit.
It hasn't been really streaky for Cervelli, has it? I mean, he continues to just kind of march along, getting his hits on a regular basis.
Well, Cervelli had a hit yesterday, a triple. He's hit safely now in 3 straight.
He'll give you usually at least 1 real good at bat per game, whether it results in a hit or an out. But he gets his money's worth during the number of at bats he gets.
Well, Pedro struck out twice tonight. Facing Bergman for the first time. He gets a fastball in for a strike.
By the way, Christian Bergman, coming out of the bullpen for the Rockies, has given up 6 home runs. You look at those numbers sometimes for the relievers that come in. Are they susceptible to the long ball? A lot of times they're not. This man is.
One to Pedro. He has homered twice in his last 5 games. The one he hit in Miami last night was the 125th of his career. Two. Pedro looking for some contact. He's got 3 more home runs to catch Richie Hebner. We mentioned Richie Hebner coming up on Inside Pirates Baseball after the game. Hebner finished with 128 as a Pirate. Pedro 14th on the Pirates all-time home run list. He was struck out for the 3rd time tonight. Wow. Pirates hosting the Rockies tomorrow at 7:05. First 20,000 get a Bill Mazeroski replica statue courtesy of Levin Furniture. Fun starts with a Saturday night block party on Federal Street, and everybody's a winner on an Eaton Park Scratch and Win Saturday. For tickets, go to pirates.com. 2 outs and a runner aboard for Jordy Mercer. If anybody's due for a home run, it is Jordy Mercer. He has 2 this year. They came on successive days in San Francisco on June 1st and 2nd. He's not had a home run since June 2nd. It was a day game. against the Giants. He did have one in AAA on his rehab stint when he came back to the Pirates.
He's got a nice count to work with here, 2-0. A swing fly right here.
Michael Morse in the on-deck circle. He would hit for Francisco Liriano, so that's the indication that Frankie would be done. 2-0 popped up. Short center field, second baseman DJ LeMahieu drops it. He dropped it. A routine fly ball is dropped, and the door is kicked open. Well, you just don't see that. But an error by LeMahieu keeps the inning alive.
Looks like he's got it measured. And it simply comes out of the pocket of the glove. Never closed on it. And boy, that's what happens when you got struggling baseball teams. It can happen to any team, any player, but it seems that most often teams that are struggling.
Well, with Morris coming up, the scouting report brought in from the bench. Morris will pinch hit with 2 on and 2 out.
And what it does is keep the opportunity open for the Pirates to score a run or more that would belong to Liriano. That ball is caught. It's going to be another no decision for Francisco.
Morris had a pinch hit single in Miami. 4 for 19 as a pinch hitter with a run batted in. 226 overall.
It has been, what you say, 10 starts for Francisco
that the Pirates have won, regardless of his decision.
Regardless of his involvement.
Last pitcher to have as many or more, 12 straight for A.J. Burnett in 2012. And you go back to 1971, Doc Ellis had 14 straight starts that the Pirates won.
I think that might have been his first 14 of the year. He was something like 16-2, 16-3 at the break.
0-1 to Morse. Swings and fouls it back, and it's 0-2. Christian Bergman with an 0-2 count gets ahead of Morse. Cervelli at third and Mercer at first base. 2 men out. Cervelli representing the go-ahead run in the 6th. 3-3 ball game. And the 0-2 coming. Smack foul again. Bergman with a new baseball. Rub it up. A lot of room on the right side with LeMahieu shading the bag at second. McBride holding the runner Mercer on. And Morse does have a tendency to go to right field. Right fielder Gonzalez playing him rather deep. Morse gets another piece of that one.
He certainly does get his money's worth.
And warming up now is Gonzalez German. Two on, 2 out. 0-2 to Morse. Off-speed pitch in the dirt, blocked by Hundley. Really see the arm action of Bergman slowing down that time. I wonder if Morse had picked up on that before the release of the baseball. Christian Bergman taking over for the starter John Gray. Gray went 4 1/3. Inside to Morse. Evens the count at 2-2.
3 runs, the 3 runs the Pirates have. Partially the starter.
Mercer's going to take second base. So that will erase the possibility of a force there. Cervelli still at third. Mercer at second. 2 outs on a full count.
You see that breaking ball just bounce back the other way, not continue where it's breaking. And that's the challenge for catchers when those breaking balls get in the dirt. They don't always spin in the same direction after they hit.
Payoff pitch. Inside, ball 4. And the bases are loaded.
For the second time tonight.
Top of the order up, Gregory Polanco has been swinging a good bat. He's 2 for 3. Love to see him come up with something here. Get some runs on the board for Liriano, making the pitcher record, but also get the Bucks ahead. Well, Polanco digging in against Bergman. Bases full of Bucks, 2 down.
Good night so far.
Strike 1. Off-speed pitch is what Bergman started him with. Polanco was hoping to see a fastball right away.
I'm not so sure that was either. Maybe a high slider or something. 87 miles an hour. His fastball's in 90, 91. Maybe a straight change and a curveball or a breaking ball of some sort to stay away from the fastball to Gregory.
It's down low, 2-1. Polanco getting ahead of Bergman. On with a 6th of a 3-3 game. Pirates have him loaded. A 2-1 pitch coming to the Pirate right fielder.
You would think obvious take here. A wide one, even though it might be a little bit tempting.
Polanco drills it to right field, and Gonzalez makes a diving catch. Boy, the sinking line drive collared by Carlos Gonzalez, and the Pirates leave him loaded as he hits a home run to tie it and makes a super defensive play here.
Well, the Pirates earlier today partnered with the Baseball Tomorrow Fund and hosted a baseball and softball equipment drive here at the ballpark. New and gently used equipment was collected at each of the 5 main entrances to PNC Park. Now, all this goes directly to the Pittsburgh Reviving Baseball in the Inner Cities program, which has over 1,000 athletes. Not only that, but the Baseball Tomorrow Fund presented a $5,000 check to the Pittsburgh RBI program on the field before the game today. Now, Tim and Steve, 2 great things happening on the North Shore before a pitch was even thrown tonight. Young kids going to benefit from that.
Yeah, that's great. They could use the equipment, certainly. That's a great thing.
Now we need some great things to happen after the first pitch.
Joakim Soria takes over. And his first pitch to Kyle Parker is in for a strike. Numbers on Soria. The 0-1. That's strike 2. This is where the back end of the bullpen for the Pirates needs to bear down against this Rockies team. The Rockies have lost 5 in a row at PNC Park. Last place in the West. This is a team the Pirates need to make hay against as they get set sail in the month of September, which will be primarily against National League Central Division teams. They'll play their own division throughout most of the month, with the exception of 4 with these Rockies in Colorado and then 3 with the Dodgers in LA. Other than that, it's all Cubs, Cardinals, Brewers, and Reds. Take a look at the
getting down to it.
Yeah, here's the road ahead. A travel day on Monday, the last day of the month. Pirates will have wrapped up on Sunday a stretch where they have 20 games in 20 days. And there's 3 in Milwaukee. Head to head with the Cardinals and then the Reds.
Francisco Liriano comes away with a no decision, having gone 6 innings, 3 runs, 4 hits. He walked 3 and struck out 5.
Two from Soria. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Does not want to walk him. See what the leadoff walk did in the 5th. It produced a run behind Jose Reyes. Fluke home run down the left field line. And that tied the game at 2 at that point.
He was ahead 0-2. Gets him.
Deep fly ball. McCutcheon back. Cuts in front of the wall and make the catch.
I think. Got a carry.
You're right.
Yeah.
Fans save big on Pirates baseball this season with the Port Authority Connect card. Save up to $10 per ticket to Sunday through Thursday Pirates games. Get $10 off on lower outfield box and outfield box tickets, and save $6 per ticket on outfield reserved and grandstand seats. For tickets, go to pirates.com/connectcard. A 1-out, bases empty for Brandon Barnes.
I'm glad Parker hit that to dead center field.
Barnes fouls it off. Barnes tonight is 0 for 2. He has hit 2 baseballs to center field early. He was flat out twice to Kutch. Soria gets ahead. Still look at this pickup of Soria as a really, really good pickup for this Pirate bullpen. Former Tigers closer.
Late inning experience is a very good thing.
One out, base is empty. Soria ready. Couldn't get him to chase it.
Tried that floater breaking ball. It's a real slow curve ball.
Well, for Soria, he didn't pitch at all on the road trip. Didn't pitch since Sunday night. He worked the scoreless 7th inning against the Giants. So important that he gets work too. Full count.
Again.
He has retired the first batter in 13 of his 14 appearances with the Pirates. So that's a guy coming out of the bullpen. That is a big thing to do. It's a good thing to do. Get that first guy out. Changes the whole complexion of the inning. Granted, it was a long fly ball by Parker, but still 3-2. And he strikes out Barnes.
He's not afraid of those payoff pitches, apparently. May chase ball 4 here. In fact, he did.
So now Soria will face a pinch hitter for Colorado. It'll be Charlie Blackmon. He'll face Charlie and Charlie's Beard. They'll both hit. He has a career-long 12-game hitting streak.
Career-long Beard.
And it doesn't get in the way of the swing. Three the score. Top of the 7th. 2 outs. Pitch to Blackmon in for a strike. Blackmon won 1 for 5 Wednesday against Atlanta. Last game he played. He's behind 0-2 after the foul ball.
Among other things, you don't want him on the base pass because he has 33 steals. Tie ball game in the 7th. Joaquin out in front. 0-2.
Here comes the 0-2. In the air to center. Playable for McCutchen. And a 1-2-3 top of the 7th. It is stretch time at PNC Park. Coming up, Starling Marte, the number 2 hitter in the order. Starling looking for a hit. Andrew McCutchen has 2 of them tonight. And also with 2 hits, Jung Ho Gung. They need some more. This game's tied at 3.
Of the Pittsburgh Pirates and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Now time for our Data Strong fan photo of the game, brought to you by T-Mobile. Regan Kirsch sends us this from on top of the world. Racing to Jolly Roger at high altitude. That's a great picture. That's strong. Brandon Barnes moves to left field from center field. Charlie Blackmon stays in the game, goes to center. And on the hill is Jairo Diaz. Diaz takes over for Christian Bergman. Bergman pitched an inning in 2/3 of relief of John Gray. So Diaz, making his 4th appearance, will face Starling Marte.
Need a point.
Marte takes a strike. Diaz out of Venezuela from Puerto La Cruz. It's down to third base, backhanded by Arenado. For the first to get it, 1 out.
Nice play on the backhand side. So Bergman goes that 1 2/3 scoreless. Gives up a hit, issues a walk, and records a strikeout.
He was formerly with the Angels. He was involved in the trade for Josh Rutledge in December. Rutledge, an infielder. And Diaz facing Andrew McCutchen. Pitch takes low, ball one.
Appearance number 4. Mr. Diaz.
Pair of base hits and a walk. Kutcher's been on all 3 times. Tony Watson loosening up. He'll come on in the 8th. He'd rather pitch with the lead. Bounce it is short. Jose Reyes release to first to get McCutchen. 2 ground balls and 2 outs. And Jung Ho Kang coming to the plate. He is 2 for 3 with a pair of RBI hits, but in the 5th inning he grounded into an around the horn double play. That's our Chick-fil-A double play tonight. Arenado starting it, got it to LeMahieu around the horn and end of the inning. Well, he has driven in 2 of the 3 Pirate runs tonight. 2 down, bases empty. Ball 1 to Jung Ho. Wearing the socks up high tonight. Two balls, no strikes. Pirates trying to get to the Rockies bullpen, as many teams have been fortunate to do this year. 2-1, taking the pitch all the way. Three and 1. Jairo Diaz facing Jung Ho Kang. Got the first 2 men out, Marte and McCutchen. Now 3-1 delivery to Jung Ho. Pulled the string a little bit. Jung Ho swung like it was a fastball.
Thinking about that previous 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
Full count pitch. Yeah, Jung Ho pops this one up, shallow center. Out goes LeMahieu. In comes Blackman. He'll make the catch, and the Pirates' 2, 3, 4 hitters go in order. Let's go back to our Root Sports studios, live with the Hawkeyes on Friday Night Rocks. Game one of this 3-game series, along with Steve Blass. I'm Tim Never. 32,607 here tonight on this Friday night. We're seeing a tie ball game, 3-3. Rockies with a pair of home runs. Another very good crowd here at PNC Park.
Tony Watson on to hold the fort near the top of the 8th inning.
Pitching to Jose Reyes, who clanged the foul pole down the left field line in the 5th inning for a home run. Pirates had a 2-0 lead at that point, and Reyes tied it at 2. Pirates went ahead with another run in the 5th, and then in the 6th, Carlos Gonzalez hit one to right center deep to tie it at 3.
Very impressive numbers for Tony Watson.
Popped back into the seats.
You know, if you think that Liriano was on a good roll with his last 10 appearances, the Pirates wins. The Pirates have been victorious in Watson's last 24 appearances. And he has been out there. The Pirates have won 13 straight scoreless outings. We've got an ERA under 1 in this ballpark this year.
Reyes almost walked into that pitch. .28-15 in 1-run games, winning 14 of the last 16, including a 2-1 game last night in Miami. A sinking liner to center field. It'll drop in for a hit, and Jose Reyes has his second hit of the night. Leadoff man aboard in the 8th inning for Colorado.
Inside part of the plate, he got enough of it to clear the infield. Reyes doesn't run as much as he used to. However, it is the 8th inning, tie ball game. 8 attempts. He's been successful 4 and thrown out 4.
And that's just with Colorado. With the Blue Jays, he had more, 16 steals. Was only caught twice in the American League. It's been a different go for him in the National League since coming over in that trade.
Well, when he first came up, he could fly.
Against the Pirates since 2008, hitting .371. This punt looks like it's going to stay fair. Cervelli will toss down to first base.
Oh, is that
close? Was out. A little too close for comfort.
This ball hugs right on the grass. Never did come onto the dirt, and then kind of a little loopy throw that they get the out on. He might have been lined right up where he had to go over the head of the runner. And actually, the line was all right, just a little kind of a loop throw. They get the out.
Reyes in scoring position with 1 out for Nolan Arenado. He's 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Tony deals him a strike. Watson very efficient. He did not get the first man. We were talking about that with Soria, how guy coming out of the bullpen, it's important you retire the first batter. Did not retire the first man he faced, but normally he does. Pitches inside. Over his 59 appearances, he has retired the first batter 43 times. That's the vast majority. There goes Reyes for third. Cervelli will not make a throw. A stolen base for Reyes, his 5th with Colorado.
And that's a big 90 feet. And really, Tony got careless there. There's just nothing that Cervelli really could do. Lost track of the runner at second base, and there he is at third. 1 out. Huge 90 feet. Infield in. Makes it tougher.
The infield in. Arenado chases that one for a strike. 2-2, and Watson needs to get Arenado here. And the pitch. Foul back. Arenado, one of the top RBI guys in the game right now. Second behind Paul Goldschmidt in the National League with 92. Normally this is the type of situation he comes through in, but he's not always facing Tony Watson. This one into shallow right field, caught by Polanco. Here comes the throw. It is there. He got him. Gregory Polanco with a rifle shot from right field throws out Jose Reyes.
What a play. What a run-saving, maybe game-saving play.
The second outfield assist of the night for Gregory Polanco, and he cuts down the go-ahead run.
Comfortably by a lot.
Three, thanks to Gregory Polanco. Jose Reyes tagging on that shallow fly ball, but Polanco with his second outfield assist of the game.
First of all, he's got to go. They got to send him. And Polanco, look how early that ball gets there for Francisco to get the ball and then look for the runner. Great shot here. He's got the ball. Now go get him. They're going to go try to go in the back door. That's what they're all trying to do now. They're trying to slide in back of the catcher. But Francisco gets it early enough. There's the tag. Like I said, they've got to go. They got a chance to win here. That's a thing of beauty. That is an absolute thing of beauty. Because there aren't that many throws that are right on the money to home plate. Game saver, Gregory Polanco. What a nice night of baseball Gregory Polanco has had tonight with the bat, with the throws, a couple of them.
Human howitzer. And a new pitcher now for the Rockies. Scott Oberg comes on. Jairo Diaz pitches an inning of hitless and scoreless relief. So Oberg will face Walker, Cervelli, and Alvarez. Oberg making his 48th appearance for Colorado. The Pirates need a run here. Bottom of the 8th inning of a 3-3 game. Single runs in the first, third, and the fifth. Rockies with 2 in the fifth and 1 in the sixth. All of the runs coming on home runs. A chance of let's go Bucks now echoing around PNC Park.
10 home runs given up by Oberg. Big number.
Pitch to Walker. Taken for a strike. Starts him off with a curveball. seeing something happen with Gregory Polanco. Just this week, the throws that he's made. He's thrown 3 guys out in the last few days.
You think of right field great throwing, you think of Roberto Clemente. Right now, you look at right field throwing, you are very quickly coming up with the name of Gregory Polanco. He's got to do it for a lot of years to get really in that company, but it makes you think in that direction.
Take a look at the bottom of the screen. Some Point Park University tweets reacting to the play by Polanco and his throw.
Right field, that area just looked at, looking like it's in pretty good hands right now for a while. Hope it's a long while.
Pirates corner outfielders, guys that you just can't run on. That's 30 outfield assists now by the Pirates to lead the National League. And what they hope is a game-changing play. 1-2 to Neal.
Well, we'd be looking at a different score right now for sure.
Oberg hasn't given up a run in 34 of his 47 appearances. Last 4 appearances he hasn't given up a run. Walker strikes out looking. Second time Neal's down on strikes tonight. He's 0 for 3 with a walk. Pretty good pitch.
Right there on the bottom part of the grid. He doesn't think so. Maybe he does. Just couldn't believe that it was that good a pitch.
Cervelli looks at a breaking ball outside. It's coming down to the fact that this might end up being a game that comes down to one swing. Another one of those type of games.
It's been the story of a couple swings by the Rockies, Reyes and Gonzalez.
Did he go? No. Corey Blazer, first base umpire, says no. Scott Oberg out of Tewksbury, Massachusetts. 25 years old, 15th rounder in 2012.
Not every 15 rounder makes it to the big leagues. He did.
A strike to Cervelli. That low strike that he got Walker on.
Right on that line, that bottom line.
Two and one to Francisco. Time is called. See now, Chris Guccione jumped out from behind the plate. Earlier in the game, he just sort of held a finger up.
Yeah, kind of a little insider indicator. Yeah, okay, we're going to shut it down.
Usually, like he just did there, umpires are more demonstrative when the batter calls time and he gives it to him.
Yeah, the fact that the pitch was delivered, but you know, there wasn't really a lot of emphasis.
.307 average for Cervelli. As a catcher, not as a pinch hitter or designated hitter or anything else. He has the highest batting average of any catcher in the National League. And he's taken ball 4, and the Pirates have a go-ahead run down at first base now. Pirates will continue this series tomorrow. Jay Happ takes the mound to face the Rockies. Our coverage starts at 6:30 with Pirates pregame, presented by W.B. Mason on Root Sports. Jay Happ 2-1 with the Pirates, an ERA of just over 2. He will oppose lefty Chris Rusin, who is 4-6. And Pedro Alvarez
is due.
Is very due. He's had a very frustrating night. 3 strikeouts, and he swung and missed at a number of fastballs, which is something that he can play opponents in the division, and certain teams don't throw him fastballs. Cardinals throw him fastballs. The Cubs do on occasion. There are certain teams that just won't give him the heat. But he's seen enough of it tonight and has gone down swinging 3 times. Rockies infield shifted for him. Cervelli off first, 1 out, 1-0. And the breaking ball is inside. Big sweeping breaking ball from Oberg.
They'll have a talk about it, and you get in the background, you see how deep they're playing in the outfield. That's to be expected. You want to cut off a double, save a run. It could be the difference.
Pedro's come up with some big swings late in the season before, trying to get into that mode again. He's been starting to do that this August. 2-0 to Pedro. Ball back. And he got the 2-0 fastball he was hoping for.
You know, it's something. 2-0 count. Everybody's geared up for a huge swing, and it's almost like a crowd reaction. You can almost hear the crowd. Oh, growing with him. And he takes that big swing. It's kind of a free ride situation. 2-0. The crowd's with him.
Fastball, but that one's inside and low. Makes it a 3-1 count to Alvarez. Last 18 games, he has 17 hits and 13 RBIs.
Jordy Mercer ready in case the free pass is issued. It is.
Ball 4. That pushes Cervelli to second. And now the go-ahead run is in scoring position. Mercer will get called back, and the Pirates will send out Aramis Ramirez to pinch hit. Sean Rodriguez will come run for Pedro Alvarez. Here comes Aramis Ramirez.
Another scouting report delivered out on the mound. Well, Aramis gets his extra swings.
Pretty nice bullet to have in the gun for Clint Hurdle, bringing a guy like Aramis Ramirez off the bench.
Yeah, it's interesting, really wealth of riches for the Pirate infield. A lot of flexibility for Clint. A lot of different ways he can approach the beginning of a game. Work with Harrison. During the course of the game, there's a lot of moves he can make.
Ramirez is the only Pirate that has faced Oberg before tonight. He's just 0 for 1 against him, so really not much to report there. But lately, Ramirez has knocked in a bunch of runs. 17 runs in his first 27 games. He's being acquired on the 23rd of July from the Brewers. Ranks 8th all-time in Pirates history in games played at third base with 570. 2 on, 1 out for Ramirez. Oberg stretch and the pitch. And it's a fastball in there for a strike.
95 miles an hour.
Ramirez normally aggressive on a first pitch strike.
A little bit of the same scenario. We're talking about Richie Hebner before. Richie Hebner, who had a great career with the Pirates, came back late in his career and played some for the Bucks right toward the end. A little bit of third, maybe a little bit of first base.
Oberg gets ahead of him. It's 0-2.
Nothing subtle about those first 2 deliveries at 94 and 95.
I'm going to wonder here if he comes back with that sweeping breaking ball on the 0-2 pitch. .295 with runners in scoring position for Ramirez this season. Go-ahead run is at second in a 3-3 game in the bottom of the 8th. And the runners stay put.
Well, Francisco thought about it, but you've got to be sure. Good chance you're the winning run on a base hit, but you don't want to get thrown out over there at third base.
That's the guy they want to get home. That's some insurance right there. 1-2 to Ramos Ramirez. To right field, over to the corner. Gonzalez will make the catch. Cervelli will tag and head to third. 2 men out, and the go-ahead run now 90 feet away as Ramirez got him over.
Still presents all kind of possibilities 90 feet away. With the way they're throwing pitches in the dirt these days, you want a guy that can get home, probably do the winning run. Ball gets away. Of course, Oberg is kind of the guy that throws so hard he doesn't have to come in the dirt with a breaking ball so much. He's got that great high fastball.
Jay, 274, back after left thumb surgery. Had to repair a ligament in the thumb. Played 2 innings last night in Miami. Cervelli at third and Rodriguez at first. Oberg's pitch to Harrison. Fouled back. Harrison had been noticing the pattern of first pitch fastballs from Oberg. Went up there and tried to attack one of them.
Over 32,000 on hand on this Friday night watching this game that has not been decided as we play here in the bottom of the 8th.
0-1 to Josh. And a base hit. Cervelli will score. The Pirates lead 4-3. A pinch hit single by Harrison puts the Bucks ahead.
More 2-out action. Ball by Ramirez, getting Cervelli over to third, took any anxiety away. Base hit, run automatic, Pirate lead. Upstairs, pay the price. That high fastball is handled by Josh Harrison. I'll tell you, when you guys are, everybody I talk to, you don't know what's coming next from the Pittsburgh Pirates. You don't know which person is going to be responsible. What player is going to come up big?
And Hurdle checking on the bullpen right now. I expect Mark Melanson to be coming out in the 9th. 4-3 Pirate lead now as Josh Harrison's pinch hit single got Cervelli home.
Well, keep up your great night, Mr. Polanco. You could give us all a lot of comfort right here by catching a gap or even a base hit. He has had a tremendous night.
Gregory takes inside. It's 2-0.
Think of what you talk about, the flexibility, what Hurdle has done in the bottom of the 8th. He's used Rodriguez, he's used Ramirez, he's used Harrison. It's just nice to have all those buttons to push in a different way. Back and forth, in and out, roundabout, different personnel.
Polanco takes low, and it's 3-0. You know, you talk about Harrison, you talk about Polanco. Polanco tonight with 2 outfield assists. You realize the last outfielder who had 2 assists in a game was Josh Harrison on the 13th of August in 2013. 3-0 to Polanco. That's up high, but called a strike high in the zone. So no action in the Rockies pen. Oberg's going to have to finish up this inning.
We'll go back to that 2-0 pitch. There was times when Polanco would have taken a swing at that, and it wouldn't have been 3-0. It would have been 2-1. Changes the whole look of the at bat, but good discipline. So he's learning that aspect also. Critical for him to do that. Big time swing.
So double barrel action. Mark Melancon, he's just about ready anyway, and Archimedes Caminero loosening up.
In case the Pirates break it open, perhaps.
If Gregory were to hit one in the river right now, I think we'd see Caminero.
I think there's a good chance of that.
Doesn't even have to make the river. Runners will break with this pitch from Scott Oberg. We'll cue up and do it again.
Came away from the fastball there, but Gregory, again, that's a good adjustment. Keep the at bat going. Not just completely sell out to the fastball that he would have been way out in front of.
Ramirez got Cervelli from second to third with that fly ball. Pretty important at bat. It was a big out, actually. Positive out for the Pirates. 3-2. And there's a base hit. Rodriguez will score. Harrison heading to third. It's 4. Make it 5-3.
Oh, Gregory. Polanco, have yourself a night. That ball was ripped. They left it in the middle of the plate and paid the price. Pirates still in business.
It's a solid shot up the middle. Another 3-hit game for Polanco. Got a 4-hit game Monday in Miami. Now a 3-hit game tonight. 2 outfield assists.
Busy night. Wonderfully busy.
And they hope to stay busy here with Marte up. Marte looking for his first hit. On the right side foul. Well, this has been a common tale for the Rockies this year with their bullpen. Giving up runs late in games. Walt Weiss, source of frustration, and a 51-74 record this year.
And counting.
One ball and 1 strike. Highest bullpen ERA in the National League at 4.91.
Surprising team in that list is Los Angeles.
4-14. First and third, 2 outs, 1-1. And Marte breaks his bat, and that'll be caught by McBride. 2 runs come in on 2 hits. Josh Harrison drives in the go-ahead run. Polanco the insurance run. Buccos in the dugout loving it as we go to the 9th. from our Root Sports studios on the North Shore all night tonight on Friday Night Rocks. Josh Harrison with a go-ahead RBI. He now takes over defensively at third base. Jung Ho moves from third to short. And Sean Rodriguez stays in the game. He'll play first. Mark Melancon, 41 saves, leading the majors. He comes in to pitch, and he will face 4, 5, and 6 in the Rockies order, starting with Carlos Gonzalez.
Last 55 appearances, he's been Mario Lemieux, 0.66 ERA. It's phenomenal. He has been gooder than good.
Well, Gonzalez with a home run in the 6th. 1 for 3. Pirates have 3 on the right side of the infield for him. Melancon's first pitch is inside. And here we are again, Steve. We talk about this often with 25th, 26th, and 27th outs. Tough to get.
Certainly not automatic. Nice to have a little wiggle room.
This one is back into the seats for a strike. It's 1-1.
That extra run. Big.
Gonzalez' name coming up around the trade deadline, especially with the movement of Troy Tulowitzki. Gonzalez, another big contract guy with Colorado that might have helped him in terms of finances for the future. There's a ground ball to first. Rodriguez has it. Tosses to Melancon, 1 out.
This run of winning baseball here in this ballpark has been really, really impressive. Everybody contributing, but well, they played their best baseball in terms of wins. Hadn't been easy all the time, hadn't been pretty all the time, but there have been wins on such a regular basis here in this ballpark. This has been a great home team.
Searching for win number 78. Pirates are 19-4 this year against the National League West, 11-2 here at PNC Park. They have absolutely dominated the Western Division. Hundley, a foul tip.
Speaking of teams from the West, the Giants hosting the Cardinals. They are underway in San Francisco. They might be peeking around the corner. What's happening here?
They've been peeking for a while.
The Cardinals, you have to tip your cap. They have been phenomenal this year. But you don't have to tip it more than once. Just do the right thing out of respect and leave it alone.
Not to look too far ahead, because you don't want to look any further ahead than
tomorrow night.
Well, really this next pitch, but and then tomorrow night.
Yep.
But that Cardinal series coming up on the road is going to be big. Bucks did win a game down there last time. Need to find a way to win 2 next time, at least 2. 2-1 to Hundley. Up in the air to right field. Polanco underneath it. And Gregory retires him.
Stand up.
That's the 4th time Hundley's hit a ball to Polanco. 3rd time he's flied out. Polanco threw him out when he took a huge turnaround first, tried for second. That was the first of Polanco's 2 outfield assists. Now Matt McBride represents the last out for the Rockies. Pirates leading it 5-3. Top of the 9th inning. Mark Melancon in search of his 42nd save. Pitch to McBride. That is just outside. From Mark. That's in. Count is even 1-1 now to Matt McBride, who was 0 for 3 tonight.
Here we got it.
And the Jolly Roger was a little too jolly down the left field line. It was hanging over that railing. It was in play. So it's okay to raise it, but you've got to have the last out first, and then
That's the way it works.
then you can have at it. This one is drilled deep to center field. Back goes McCutchen on the track, and that is a Pirates winner. Mark Melancon, his Major League best 42nd save. Tony Watson gets the win tonight. Gregory Polanco, what a night. What a night for the young Pirates right fielder. 3 hits, a run batted in, and 2 phenomenal throws from right field.
Once again, they find a way to win it. They march through 9 innings of baseball and come out with a 5-3 win against the Colorado Rockies. And their phenomenal string of PNC success continues. Pittsburgh Pirates are home, and the Pittsburgh Pirates, when they're home, Pittsburgh Pirates are winning.
29 games over 500 at 78 and 49. And we're not yet in the month of September. So a couple of more games in August to go. Final score, Buccos 5, the Rockies 3. Let's go downstairs and visit with Rob King and Kent Jacoby.
Tim and Steve, thanks very much. Teak, you win 3 out of 4 on the road. Brief road trip, now a brief homestand. Nice to come home, follow up that momentum with a victory tonight.
Right, and tonight is the night you're coming off of the travel day. You've got all the things that you could use for excuses to, maybe have an off day, but the Buccos had anything but an off day today. The Pirates played a very good baseball game against the Colorado Rockies. We're able to get that first one in the book. Okay, now you're looking at, win tomorrow, you got the series, you're looking at the sweep the next day. A lot of things on the positive side of the ledger right now for the Pirates.
Boy, great to see Josh Harrison coming off the bench and delivering the clutch hit. He is standing by with Robbie and Zbikowski.
Yeah, 1 swing and an inning of defense. What a gig Josh Harrison has on a night like tonight. Josh, my goodness, 2 out hitting the entire night. What does it say about this club and just the ability they had to come through in the clutch? All 4 runs, or 5 runs, came with 2 outs.
We're a resilient team, and you get 3 outs in an inning for a reason, and we use them all.
How about when you're facing Oberg in that situation, you get 2 ducks on the pond? How much is your approach different as opposed to maybe a normal situation leading off an inning and not a pressure situation?
It's completely different. It's my first at-bat of the night, and I wanted to be fastball ready and give myself a chance to catch up to that. And if he threw a wrinkle in there, I would recognize it, but I didn't want to come off the fastball.
Josh, last year and into this season, you kind of found your niche as the everyday third baseman. Now, since you've come off the DL, you've kind of played all over the place. What's your comfort level maybe being moved again, regardless, depending on the team's needs?
If that's what it takes for us to win, I'm down. I've done it before, and I'm ready for anything.
What's impressed you about Gregory Polanco and the way he stepped his game up another notch tonight with 3 hits, driving in the runs, and also what he did in right field? My goodness, with that arm. It
just shows how much he's grown. Last year, was his first taste, and you could just see him getting better and learning the game. And it's no secret that you don't want to run on him in the outfield, and he'll come up with some clutch hits as well.
Thank you, Josh Harrison.
Thank you.
Josh Harrison, the Buccos Kinger, big winners tonight. Gregory Polanco with a big night, and also this guy in the clutch in the bottom of the 8th.
To the surprise of absolutely nobody, by the way, Josh Harrison coming through in the clutch of the Pirates. Great job by Josh Harrison coming off the bench, and great job all night in every facet of the game by Gregory Polanco. As we promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite, and it is Gregory Polanco.
Yeah, we talk about the fact that Polanco can beat you with his bat, he can beat you with his legs, he can beat you with his arms. Well, tonight, he beat the Colorado Rockies with all 3 of them. Just absolutely crushed the ball, stretches a single into a double, steals a bag. Here, perfect play off the right field wall, perfect shot to second. Out so far, he turns around, tries to go back to first. That's not going to happen. Line drive. Jose Reyes, one of the fastest guys in the game. See you later. You're out of there. Gregory Polanco, what a show he put on tonight.
Tremendous. 3 for 5, 2 runs scored, an RBI, a stolen base, 2 outfield assists. One of his only outs was in the bases loaded, maybe the hardest hit ball he had all night. Pirates go on to win 5-3. Gregory Polanco, a big reason why. Plenty of contributors. Francisco Liriano, Mark Melancon, Andrew McCutcheon, another big night. Jung Ho Gong, Josh Harrison. Lots to celebrate for the Buccos as they win 5-3 on this Friday Night Rocks edition of Pirates Baseball. Pirates postgame coming up next.